Wednesday the 12th of July. We had about 8-9 hours of rain last night, which was really nice, steady, heavy. So that's going to get into that bed and wake up some of that fast growth that went under the straw. We're probably about 10 days after the chop back, and as you can see, things like oakwoods are growing out of it now and producing plenty of strong breaks, as is the winarm now. It's just starting to wake up. It takes a week, 10 days, and then once they come out of that, then they really do romp away. This is that plant that we left, didn't chop it back, and we've got buds, unsurprisingly. So I'm going to get into them later and I'll show you about knocking them stems back roughly an appropriate amount. I don't want to take a bud until about the 10th of August for the National, so it's well early yet. That plant obviously didn't enjoy the chop back and has pretty much managed to die. These are moonlights, and I'll be getting into these next, taking them down to 7 up, with a mind to probably knock another one off later in the year if they don't look as strong as I'd like. These ones I've already done, so those are down to 7 up, and you can see they've only really got one pair of leaves out from the cut back, but earlier the better for me if I can get in there and do it. Challenger have been done. Done those yesterday morning, and those have been took down to the 4 remaining, some bigger than others. It always is the case, some plants get away from a cut quicker than others do, but that actually gives you a bit of a spread. The Valentine, lovely and strong, whether I've got it right or not, but not much you can do about it. I think some of these shoots like this are going to be too quick to bud, but I mean the weight on them is lovely, nice and strong plants. But there is other shoots like this. There's one sitting down there, small, and there. So there's about 5 or 6 on there, and all I should do from now on really is as the shoot starts looking like it's producing a bud, I'll start taking it out. Or if I think it's taking all the energy, a bit like a plant over there that looks like it's nicking most of the energy, I'll take it off and spread it out. But it's now on that stuff really does start to motor, and you'll see it happen. So it's now Thursday morning, it's gone 5, Thursday feeding. Took all the Valentine bits out, but they're still probably between 4 and 5 up, and I'll start knocking shoots out as they bud, which I think on these plants, where they've romped away, it's probably going to be before I naturally want them to, so I'm going to have to deal with that as they come with a knockback. Better to have a slightly smaller flower if that's the case, than a flower with no show to go to. Challenger all down to 4s. The moonlights are all down to 7s at the moment. The winarm are all down to 7s. The oakwood are yet to do. They're always a bit sort of slower away and so short jointed. It's a bit of a fiddle getting in there trying to tidy them up. This is that plant of winarm that we've left on a single, and there are buds already. So we're about the 13th of July. These buds were left 25 days. They're going to flower somewhere around about the second week of August if we're lucky, well, probably the first week of August. So just deal with it simply. There's the bud, 2 buds, no point taking that bit out and running one of these on because there'll be buds in there already. So but that's delaying it really by maybe a week. The next pair down delays it down there by 2 weeks. So if you've done that, that's 2 weeks once you pick a shoot. I'll probably want at least 3 weeks. But again, I'm not going to start chomping down the stem too far, so I'm just going to take that one out and that one out, so that's not going to shoot. And then further in the plant, there's a pair of leaves, a pair of shoots down here. We're going to have one of those, so we'll have that one on the inside. And then really it's a case of getting down there, further down that stem, and taking out all other shoots that are attached to that stem. And once they bud, they do tend to start producing some. So that's another few down there. So we've took that off the plant, we've gone down the stem, and we've picked a shoot down there that's probably going to bud in about between 3 to 4 weeks, I hope. More likely near 3, which should be fine if it's something like bank holiday weekend on to national, I hope. If it buds beforehand, we just do the same again. That's a way of dealing with it on a single stop rather than chop to the floor, and that's how I deal with any other shoots on the plants that have been chopped that throw me a bud early. 17th of July in the garden now, just give them a spray, actually get them all stripped down to flowering numbers or thereabouts and tied. Back to the allotments, and a bit of tying there. Plants are looking okay. The Suzanne looking healthy enough, apart from a bit shy on breaks, and I was hoping for about 16 on these, and I'm probably somewhere between 12 and 16. Plants like that will be fine, as will those, but there's the odd one like that I'm probably going to struggle with those quite a few underneath. There's the Mars and Karen. It was the last thing I've chopped back, so they've not been chopped for long. A bit up and down, but it's a short grower and buds quick, so I left it late. At the end here we've got the R1, seems to be a tall grower. Had a flower that's quite nice for an early flower. And then we've got the Primrose Hall. Seems to be a variance between ones with lighter foliage, darker foliage, some of it more leverier, can't say it, than others, but generally alright. And then the Marys, again, they're a bit up and down because I chopped them back at different times just to sort of stagger the flush a little bit. There's 2 plants there that have gone bonkers, but the others are good. I mean, that's really what I'm hoping for. Kids in the background having a screen. And there's Dave's choice again. The sort of back half we chopped back a week before the ones on this side, but they're looking strong enough considering the trees and so on around them. Shift around. There's a blackberry, getting all tied up, down at about sort of 16 up, or thereabouts. And then the best plants on the bottom probably I've got, in more place. And there's a 4-foot canes in the ground there, so they're getting to the tops of them. And then nice full bushy plants, not really any buds yet. And then the Gertler Twilight, which again, a lovely batch of plants. And I did let one flower come early, which is there if it actually can focus on it. It's a bit bright, but it's a lighter colour than normal. It hasn't got the sort of pinky hue to it, but I found that happens when they've got a bit of shade or if they get under a leaf. So maybe the shade of the trees is lightening the colour, but you often get this sort of fleck on there, a bit more prominent than that, and it can be variable, so I'm quite pleased there isn't one on it. So perhaps the trees are doing some good in that sense. But again, the plants, to my mind, are looking spot on. Nice bushy plants, not too much on them, but enough to be out of control up to that end. So all in all, plants looking okay. Now they start coming. I mean, now's the time you have to crack the work in. If you can't put the work in over the next couple of weeks on the plants, then you lose them. You can't play catch up after. So it's 5 in the morning. I'm up, either in the garden or up the allotment doing a bit. It's quite leisurely, quite enjoying it because there's less plants than it normally is. But they're cracking on. It's good times. Tuesday the 18th of July. I know we've not long been here, but just want to cap off and get this online because the growing so damn fast. So put it away, your bud's starting to appear and knocking it back as it does. Wind arm's looking decent. I'm just going to start tying them up. Started tying up the moonlights. They're at 6 up and still got those nice yellow tips in them, which tends to mean they're growing well. Challenger really starting to beef up now, as they tend to. I've just put over a couple of 3 cans of Maxi Crop as a foliar feed. I'll be back Thursday morning or even tomorrow morning, give them a proper feed. We're due a little bit of rain perhaps tonight or Wednesday, so that'll help. Valentine's I've just finished taking them down to 3 up and putting the first tie on them, which is nice and high. Just trying to keep the stems upright so we don't end up with hockey sticks at the bottom, and if we can keep the flowers vertical on giants, they tend to not fall off to one side when they're forming, so I do try to keep these as bolt upright as I can. But as you can see, the size of the plants, they're 2 foot apart and their wingspans touching each other plants, so some of those plants are about 4 foot across. And they seem to be alright. They're going to be a bit early, I think. This is a plant that I double stopped in the last bit, and actually it's probably the only one that will make national or just after national, perhaps through to Harrogate, on a shoot without me messing about. I'm hoping some of these will not bud all too early. They're probably spot on for bank holiday weekend, but I don't want to show anything for bank holiday weekend. I'm trying to save it for the following weekend onwards, so see what happens. But got to get used to these new plots and how they behave, or how the plants behave. That's an odd plant there of Nourish Trisha. I'm going to try growing it 7 up as I did many years ago, just to see how it performs on this plot. It used to be fantastic, but I had about 3 years and it waned, and I had a spare roll to and went to Challenger. So they're all doing alright. And then this is the plant that we sort of done that test on, by leaving it after the first stop. And you see I've had to go in there and basically knock back every shoot like that. They've all been done. That should be the first one done there. It's now starting to shoot out. Whether I'll have to do them again or not, that's, we'll have to see. But they'll soon catch up. You know, there isn't a lot of difference in plant strength, or no difference really. Only difference being is the weight of the stems on the plant that's been knocked back, because they've been able to develop. It's probably stronger than those on a double stop, but still not bad at all. It's worth a try. You never know. Things might improve, they might not. But if you don't check now and again, you go blindly on. So now's the time to really crack on. The plants must be watered, must be fed, must be sprayed, must be tied, must be looked after this next probably 3 weeks, and then the buds start coming, or the buds you want start coming. But now they're growing, and if you don't put the effort in now, then it's like all that effort you put in beforehand and after, it's probably wasted. So time to knuckle down and get on with it.